and at least enough to message them and ask for help against certain things or maybe even builds. So, yeah, a very knowledgeable guy it is, that Solar, who is spawning in the top right corner and playing for KaiZ Gaming. Give it up for Minsu Solar.
Probably wearing pajama pants.
Probably, yeah. I know exactly which ones as well.
The bear.
Yeah.
And in the bottom left-hand side of the map for Team Basilisk, it is the Finnish phenom, Serral. All right, let's see what happens here. It's going to be a hatch first on either side. That's 16 supplies. Serral's went down a second earlier.
Indeed. Gases should go down at 8 before spawning pools here, right? Most likely.
Most likely at 18, yeah. Most likely we'll take it, rally the drones to the gas. But no, actually Solar choosing to do something else. Serral already took his gas. So Serral doing the standard thing here, where Solar is playing gasless for the time being. Going for a third hatchery potentially. This is so dangerous. This is so dangerous. He's trying to sneak an expansion, right? Like he was looking at this base on the top left-hand side.
That is sneaky.
So dangerous.
Wait, and what does this mean for him if he wants to like defend against some kind of all-in? It's just he's gonna have 350 less minerals, or what?
Yep. And he's not gonna have speed to work with, right? Like that's the thing, is he's trying to make up on the economic front. Maybe he walls off and goes into something like roaches off of what would seem like two bases from Serral. But I think Serral being Serral, I mean, I don't think that you pull this one up on Serral of all players. Serral's going to say something's weird, and he's going to have two Zerglings, and they're going to go around the map scouting, is what I think. I think that Serral of all players will find this hatchery because it's just too odd. Like, you know, and yes, Solar, I mean, very, very cool strategy here, staying gasless still. Serral already has started his link speed, and I don't know how he's gonna defend, but I'm curious.
And behind this, Serral is actually still mining gas with 2 drones. I guess this means that he's probably gonna throw down a rather early Baneling nest.
Yeah, it's a safety mechanism to some degree. I mean, you could also technically go for a Roach Warren to follow a link float of some kind. But yeah, Baneling Nest is going to be most likely the choice here for Serral, who scouts the third, sees no third. At least Solar has stacked these links of Serral, will force him back. But when these 2 other links for Serral arrive, he regains map control, right? And that means he can just go scouting with at least one of those links if he wants to. And I love casting Serral because he is always so fun to analyze. He always has cool moves. So these links are going to be idle. I imagine they're going to go do something, especially once you get the link speed.
Yeah. It looks like both players are going to get Evo chambers. The difference is that Solar is throwing down his Roach Warren at the front. I guess to kind of indicate that he's, well, it's, you got to make it obvious that there's, or not obvious that there's a hidden third base, right? And usually Zerg players, they do this kind of delayed third builds with Roach Warrens at the front. So just kind of being safe as well against link floods and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, you have to go for the Roach Warren, right? Like if you're in Solar's position, because you're simply just not able to contend with the link numbers, so you have forfeit map control completely. His base on the top left has still gone unscouted, and oddly enough, Serral scouted for bases, for hidden bases, but he scouted the lower half of the map first. Now he might be going towards the top half. Not yet. I mean, that's just like one of the 3 bases at the top that haven't been scouted. And this could come back to bite him. He is on 3 base himself. But yeah, I mean, look at Serral's vision, right? Like very diligent scouting, except for that top left-hand side corner. So,
I mean, if you're Serral here, what do you think it is? Oh, he gets in. He got in. Doesn't seem much though. I mean, he sees 1 gas and maybe a few drones mining gas here at the natural. But like, if you're Serral in this position, do you suspect Nidus? Do you suspect 2 base Muta, or what do you think it is?
if I'm Serral in this position, I'm not suspecting anything, but I think that Serral probably thinks something's up. Like, he has to, right? He's Serral. There's so much missing from Solar. You have to be very good at counting. You have to have a very strong intuition to look at a drone line to look at the timings of the lair and be like, there's something missing, but Serral is Serral. So, of course, he's going to know. Now he finds this base. Is it too late? Roach is already on the way to reinforce. These drones are going to hug the queen. Only 2 have gone down so far, and Serral with the option for aggression onto an open base. But now Solar is beginning to have the tools to where he can actually hold this, right? He's going to be a little bit behind in terms of the Roach attack, but he is considerably ahead in terms of Roach speed, which is what's going to enable his mobility between his now or soon to be 4 bases. So Serral with a lot of pressure to make something happen.
Indeed, and he is going to push across the map with Roaches and Lings. The advantage that he has over Solar is that he has Link speed, and that enables him to be a bit sneaky with them around the map, maybe try to find some opportunities to run by into the main and kill a few drones. But overall, Spire is going to be the choice of tech here for Solar. Just trying to be a bit sneaky. I mean, Serral might spot it with this Overseer later on, but for now, this goes unnoticed.
Solar playing a beautiful, very tricky game here. He has already gotten away with murder in the sense that like he is ahead of Serral in terms of, you know, just having had that economy a little bit earlier situated. In terms of economy, they're actually even at this point in time. Serral leads in terms of upgrades. But Solar will have that Spire, and when that Spire is out, it spells a lot of trouble for Serral. So Serral's likely want to push out with this Roach Beater sometime soon, because otherwise he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. His 4th is also delayed by comparison to Solar's, and before he couldn't be out on the map, like when he was pushing with those Links and Roaches, he really couldn't be out on the map because he was lacking the Roach speed. Now he has it, so he can't really be caught. He should try something.
Well, he's throwing down a Hydra then right now.
That's good.
Does that mean he suspects it's Muta, or is he just keeping it in the back pocket just for safety and maybe even lurkers in the future?
Yeah, I mean, Lurker Viper in this matchup is the ultimate late game, so it's never too bad to transition into Lurkers. But yeah, but you would never make a Hydra then this early to go into that, much less produce Hydras. So he definitely either sniffed it or outright saw the Spire earlier and decided he's going to need Hydras.
And how do you know, like, for example, in this case, he's only making a handful of Mutas, but how do you know that the Muta switch is not actually bigger than what it is?
It really depends. I mean, this is a lot of Roaches already committed to the ground, so Serral has to know that Solar is almost maxed out on Roaches, so there's not much room to make Muta this time around. Muta are usually going to give you map control and are going to force defenses. But the beautiful thing about playing against Muta is that if you have like a perimeter of Spore Crawlers, you don't really care that much how many Muta are coming, right? If you have the Hydras, all you need is the time from the Spore Crawlers bot for your Hydras to actually get in position and push those Mutas off until there's something like Vipers, or for very few players, Infestors as an option. Now here comes Solar with the 1-2 punch. Serral's gonna be caught in the middle of the map and actually seems to have less units. Now with the added DPS of the Hydras, he might actually be able to hold his ground as some of the units of Solar try to slip by. But these Hydras are outputting a little bit too much DPS. Solar is not recognizing how dire this position is, or actually maybe he is. He just knows that the Muta are about to arrive. And with the Muta, he will actually be able to dislodge Serral from the back, who was lacking in Hydra numbers to account for those very few Muta. And yeah, Serral with a little bit of a run by at the same time will accomplish some things. 8 workers have been lost during all of this. So a very open game still.
Yeah, it did look like he took a bit of an unfavorable fight outside his base right there. But on the other hand, killing those 8 drones with the Roach run by and getting the Roaches to safety at the same time kind of feels like it equalized a little bit. Now keep in mind that Solar still has 4 bases mining, while Serral has just now transferred drones there. So economically wise, I'd say Solar was mining a bit more up until now, which means he might have a slightly bigger army coming for this push.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a big Concave and Hydras able to output all the DPS, so Ravagers are gonna thrive whenever there is like very choky, narrow areas, right? Because of the corrosive bile, then the units have to get out of those areas. But in this very wide open fights, Hydras are definitely gonna be the better tool here than the Ravagers, so it should be fine on defense for Serral. And the Hydra then and the Hydras also do offer Serral that easier transition into the ultra late game when he wants to go into Lurkers. He's probably gonna be able to faster leap onto that opportunity. So as he starts accumulating gas, look for that infestation pit, look for that hive, and look for those transitions.
So far, no transitions just yet. We are massing Roach Ravager on both sides, just trying to hang on as Serral. Um, I would be scared with the RB this big hitting at my door. I'm trying to pump as many units as I can. Both upgrades are actually not even with Serral having Carapace versus no Carapace. Not sure how that's gonna factor into this fight, but it does look like he's kind of hanging on up until now.
Yeah, one thing that I dislike... Oh, this is a really good concave for Serral, actually. Maybe he can push on past this after the battles have already been utilized. I think he could have maybe continued to take that fight, but he's dealing enough damage on the other side of the map that he will just take the short victory and leave. This is now a good concave for Solar in turn, so let's see if Serral can capitalize on something. Very good battles as well for Solar finally landing. And now Serral is trying to encroach forward. If he holds this attack, he will be in a phenomenal position, and Solar will have to tap out behind... He was bleeding a little bit too many drones from the counterattacks of Serral. And Serral stabilizing and bringing the game back. So, in spite of the trickery, Serral closes out game 1.
That was a masterclass ZVZ displayed by Serral. I mean, even when confronted with an unorthodox situation like that, a hidden third that he scouted relatively late, he still managed to put up a beautiful fight, a beautiful hold, and he closed it out just by harassing, killing enough drones on the fringe base like over and over and over again that he just kind of forced Solar to all in into his favorable position. That was just beautiful. Very well done by him. That's showing why he was the Finnish Phantom and why he still is the Finnish Phantom.
Whoa, why he was the Finnish Phantom. Did we just retire Serral in this stream, Diejo?
I fixed it. Come on. You're supposed to have my back in this stream.
Not in this, not, never. I never have my casters back.
I see. That's why you're in the C stream now, huh?
Yeah, that's why. That's why I've been demoted to the C stream. No friends. Yeah. You were like, yeah, this guy lived with you for 5 years. He surely can put up with you. Finally, someone. Like, I guess.
They finally found someone.
Yeah, they finally found someone. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be Dragon Scales for the second game, Diejo. And yeah, I mean, Serral, like you were saying with a masterclass, things to highlight about that strategy from Solar. Pretty much pulled it off pretty well, but it's also not the most giving strategy ever, right? Because you can't really transfer drones to that base either. So you just kind of have to saturate it on its own. It's a high-risk strategy. It does allow for your economy to boom really early on your other two bases by virtue of being gasless. And Solar did transition nicely into the roaches, so... Definitely slight edges for him, but it wasn't like an insurmountable lead that he got, right? He just got a little bit of an edge over Serral, and Serral recovered very nicely.
Yeah, and it felt kind of annoying for him to defend that base that was so far away from his reinforcements the entire time, which kind of felt like his plan backfired a little bit there, and it ended up costing him way too many drones throughout the game. But here we are, loading into game number 2. Seeing check, scores, check, as we tune in to Basilisk Serral, who spawned in the bottom right corner. The Beast. The Finnish Phantom.
Wow, that's a demotion from the GOAT, the Beast.
Well, a GOAT is a beast, technically.
A GOAT is a beast, technically, I guess.
Yeah.
Lightning Thunder for Kaisi Gaming. In the top left-hand side of the map, it is the best source of energy, Solar.
Good one.
Thank you. Just came up with that. Maybe I'll put it on my resume. See if they hire me for the A stream.
Whoa, you have to rank up first. First you go to the B stream. And then
maybe
the year after that.
That's a very good point, yeah. I'm trying to jump ahead of myself here. Alright, so we have again 18 gas for Serral, 18 gas for Solar this time around, 17 pull to follow on either side. This is the standard. Now, what I like doing, Diejo, is saturating this gas with one at a time, like Solar is doing currently, actually. Is Serral doing the same, or is Serral going to saturate it with 3? Earlier in the CVC, we saw both players opting to saturate it with 3 right away. I love them! Oh, Serral saturated with 3 more or less right away. Solar, king. I'm rooting for Solar now. This is what I like doing. And yeah, almost no one does it. Serral almost did it. Dark and Ragnarok completely forgot this. They just grabbed 3 drones, freaking smashed them into the gas, you know. But yeah, I like this little bit of efficiency. It means that Solar's speed is going to be like 2 seconds delayed. And I personally don't care. Everyone seems to care a whole lot.
Maybe it's those 2 seconds that count, you know? You want to get your scouting ASAP. Maybe you even want to pressure the third hatchery. I don't know. But I guess there is a defender's advantage.
Yeah, it is only if you're out on the map and unaware that your opponent could have the faster speed. Because if you know your opponent could have 2 seconds faster speed, you just create that distance and you're fine, I think. But yeah, I mean, yeah. You have to respect that if you're engaged, right? You're not going to be able to disengage if you have the speed 2 seconds later, I guess. But fringe cases, fringe cases. I like that word, by the way, the edge of fringe.
Fringe?
Yeah, you introduced it to me, actually.
Yeah, it's 1 letter away from cringe.
Yeah. All right. There's going to be some links here. Defending and defended on either side. Serral's going to have a defense of his third with links. Solar is going to utilize the queen instead. That means Solar is going to be a little bit late to the inject on the main. But Serral will have, presumably, should have 1 less drone. Instead, he has a few more.
Whoa. Calm down there, Serral. He's making 16 links to pair up with his Baneliness. He definitely wants to pressure this third base right here. Solar, he's only going to identify this once he sees he spots the links with the Overlord, because he did not leave links in front. So now he probably sees it. He's going to have to morph at least a couple of Banelings.
I mean, at least a couple of Banelings. You got to trust Serral with his micro here. This is not a strategy that he employs too often. He is not too often the aggressor. Maybe he was mad at his card that they gave him. There was like aggression pretty low, you know? And so he is trying to improve his stats for the next IEM, I guess, when they make him a new card. So let's see if he's going to be able to here. 2 Banelings are pulling on forward. Raynor would have already clicked on those, just saying. Just kidding. I mean, yeah, Serral's going to retreat for the time being. And this is what I was talking about, Daiejo, in terms of like Korean style CVC, when you flood with those links and they seem random. Like Serral just did that. Is he behind in economy? Not really, because your opponent has to react. They have to match those numbers. They have to respect it.
Very true. I mean, it did cost him a queen in his third base, but he still got a few links for it. So not too shabby. If we look at resources lost, of course, it does favor Solar a little bit. He even blew up 1 of Serral's Banelings there. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, Serral actually used two Banelings to intercept some of Solar's, links that were trying to leave, but I don't know if it was necessary at all. Especially one of those, I think, got one or two links only in the exchange. Solar is gonna have very short-lived drone advantage, equalized now by Serral, and a faster lair as a result of all this. So things looking decent for Solar.
So how impactful is actually that faster lair? Because we've seen games where one guy starts road speed before the other one even has started a lair. And does that mean that you just want to play defensively, or what?
Yeah, for sure. If you don't have roach speed, you have to be defensive, right? Because you can get caught out on the map. Once roaches are out, they're definitely going to trade effectively against links, maybe barring circumstances where links have like +1 milli or something, where you would be very aware not to do that until you have your own upgrade kick in. But otherwise, yeah, if you don't have roach speed and you anticipate that your opponent should, you just stay back and you chill. If you have the same roach numbers and you can kind of have a heads up with the overlords early on and know where they're coming from, you should still be fine. You sit at a concave and you chill. Where the roach speed player does have map control with those circumstances and the option to try to poke in if you're not paying attention and you have like one roach like left, to the side or something like that, or a small packet of roaches, you can jump onto that and potentially just end the game. So just gotta be a little bit more careful as the trailing roach speed player.
I see. It looks like Spire once again is going to be the choice here for Solar, as he tries to be a little bit sneaky this time. Well, once again in the natural, actually, behind the natural. And maybe once the lair finishes, Serral will once again go into his, stylistic overseer into the natural, just always making sure that he has vision of what his opponent is doing. And there it goes. Very well done by him. That's one of the things that we all respect him and love him for, is that he's so diligent about his scouting.
Yeah, Get your lair, you make an overseer. Serral invented that trick, of course. Paid Blizzard in order to make him... Oh, this base is actually gonna get sniped. Joe. Serral has to cancel and does. But a little bit painful, as Solar is now gonna have an advantage there. Serral will manage to scout that Spire.
Whoa, what got cancelled? Did Serral just cancelled his own Spire
Yeah,
and made a Hydra then instead?
Yeah, because he scouted the Spire and he knows that he's behind on that regard, right? Like, he knows he potentially has less gas to work with and his Spire is a few seconds later. So instead just goes for the Hydra answer. The other thing that he could have done is kept his Spire and go into Corruptors instead, since Solar didn't have that information. And Corruptors, pound for pound, will destroy Muta, but have much less utility otherwise against everything else.
This is kind of looking like what last game would have been if it wasn't such a wonky start, you know, with the brace in the corner being taken as a hidden third. And now it just kind of developed into, yeah, basically kind of a deja vu from last game.
It's a very similar
cleaning up
situation.
overlords. Yeah.
Solar does get to clear those overlords. Very nice move there from Serral to enable himself to build that spore on location before the base finishes. The base that got sniped, right? He brought an overlord. He was like, okay, I'm not going to have creep there, but I know mirrors are coming, so manages to drop that spore regardless. And now it's going to be Serral on defense for a little while. And Solar already preparing a very, very powerful counter offense here, as he's anticipating that the reaction from Serral will be Hydras. It is.
Whoa.
And he is going for Banelings and speed. A very, very powerful strategy here from a Solar that didn't commit to more mutas than these. I mean, Serral knows that the ground attack is coming, but will he be able to hold? Banelings with speed are nasty.
Banelings are definitely nasty, especially against those Hydras, but they are protected with Roaches, who actually tank Banelings quite well. It's gonna come down to micro. Cats, take it away.
Yeah, not the best actually from Solar here, and the mutas are a little bit off sync. The mutas are mostly unopposed, but a beautiful job from Serral. If we look at his composition, or if we looked at his composition before this happened, he was actually so ready for this in the sense that he had like 5 Hydras, right? So he didn't overmake a single Hydra list. Whenever you see Muta, it's very easy to go into 10, 15 Hydras, right? Just to have a little bit of buffer, but he reading Solar perfectly here, knowing that he's not going to be adding extra Muta. And I'm not sure that there's a tell for that outside of just knowing your opponent and their style, right? And so he doesn't overcommit to Hydras, and that means he has that many more Roaches, which, like you said, will trade effectively against those Banelings, especially when they're fanned up and when they're like waiting for them in a concave down a ramp, right? So maybe not the most elegant solution for Solar to go as he did and when he did.
Oh, these mutas are really so weak against +2 Hydras. I mean, 2 Hydras were able to completely destroy 4 mutas. So now basically reset into a weird position where Solar is still trying to force a Roach Link Bane all-in against Ravager Link Bane. And I'm pretty sure that Ravager Link Bane wins these fights 100% of the time.
For cost, yeah, Solar's not going to be trading cost efficiently. For supply, he can actually trade efficiently, right? Because those Banelings are nifty for supply. Now, what I used to do way back in the day when I would do something like this is actually Baneling drops on top of an army that doesn't have a lot of Hydras. That is, in my opinion, like one of the best ways to catch clumps of units, but it ain't easy. And Solar going from an angle that he probably doesn't want, as the choke has already been broken from Serral. He's gonna collapse onto a lot of the army. This is a very scary army. Goes actually for the Hydras, which are mostly spread in the back, and now the Banelings are trying to split their attention between the remaining Roaches. So Serral is kind of thinning out in terms of army here, and Solar is punching through 25 more Roaches on the way. So again, not necessarily cost efficient, but for supply, the Banelings are definitely gonna pay for themselves. So a very powerful punch there from Solar, in spite of Serral's best efforts to be pre-split. He is now trying to deal some damage, some counter damage on the other side. Is Serral, and now has the reinforcement to push Solar back, but not before losing his third.
I am absolutely shocked here. I mean, Solar just took those Banelings and shoved them in my mouth as he completely destroyed Serral in that fight. He absolutely got the connections he was looking for. I saw at a certain point towards the end of the fight, there were 10 Roaches there that got completely obliterated by a handful of Banelings. So really beautiful things. I mean, I really underestimated those Banelings, and they did what they had to do. They not only cleaned up the Hydras, but they actually softened up the Roaches for the rest of the army of Solar. So Very well done by him.
Yeah, and he's going for another punch of a similar caliber here, as he's already maxed again this time around on roaches. Probably doesn't feel like he has the economy to maybe add those banelings again. And Serral this time has a lot of Ravagers waiting for Solar, so even though he is lacking in supply at 30 or so, he has Corrosive Bile and he has a positional advantage. So Solar still has to be very careful going down this ramp. Those two Muta are going to be fended off by the Spore for the time being. And yeah, I mean, if you're Serral, he is adding some Hydras. That will increase the DPS. Even against Banelings, it's not going to be the worst because they're going to be sitting way in the back with this many units. And if he can get to Lurkers, maybe he can begin to stabilize. But with a lot of the army of Serral going on the left-hand side to defend off his new base, Solar identifies that he has the punching power to break on through. Those Ravagers are very squishy and very expensive, so they need to tuck behind the Roaches. The Roaches are now here, but it's too much damage already done by the looks of it from Solar, who is now pouncing onto the very expensive Ravagers. Serral trying to relocate him to the back, but it's not going to be enough. And I think we have a tight series. Daejo, what a game from Solarito.
That was really beautiful. That was really well done by Solar. I mean, it's just it kind of shows that Solar doesn't need tricks to fight against Serral. You know, he just kind of did a repeat of the last game, but without the hidden base, and it just paid off beautifully. He went for the Mutas, cleaned up Overlords around the map, forced Hydras, maybe even picked off a couple of drones here and there, and then that forced him into a position where he could go for a more alternative composition. I mean, Roach Bailey, not something you see too often, and it worked out beautifully. Like you said, Bainleys are half supply. They are not cost efficient. They are expensive, but they do what needs to be done, which is win fights. And yeah, really earned a win there for Solar.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't looking for cost efficiency so much as supply efficiency, right? And when both are maxed, supply efficiency reigns supreme, because you're going to crush the fight well enough that on the cleanup, the Roaches are going to pay for themselves and beyond, because the Banelings soften the other army so much. So things that Serral could have looked into perhaps is maybe having some more Ravagers holding some of those chokes, right? Like so that when Solar commits, because the Banelings are basically melee, you can't uncommit, right? Like once you start going, you have to keep going. So then you kind of can have zoning tools in the Ravagers, zone off a little bit with Corrosive Biles. If he had that tool available, maybe it wouldn't have been as easy for Solar to punch on through. He did a good job, Serral, of kind of splitting his army as well, but there was enough Roaches that against isolated groups of Roaches, they're just going to have superior firepower on the side of Solar, who could afford to be bunched up again in the absence of those Corrosive Biles for the most part. So a tough game for Serral. It's going to be 1-1, so an exciting series. This is definitely what we were hoping for. And now we are loaded onto the deciding game here. So camera action here. Gresvant! And spawning. Wait, am I in your camera? Can you not or move? Because I used the thing. Okay, you are. Let me set the score really quick so that no one can complain. Whoop. Script leaked. And in the top left-hand side of the map, it is for Kai C Gaming, Tholar. Gave him a Valencia flair.
And on the bottom right hand corner, it is the world champion himself, Solar.
Whoa, double Solar today. I love it.
Serral. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day, okay? I deserve a little mistake.
Cabal, yeah. Same.
Same. Zergs everywhere, you know. As a Terran player, you might relate.
I relate. So, yeah. I mean, yesterday you were making fun of me for not knowing what the hotkey to siege the tanks was, even though I promise you that I know how to siege my tanks. But today, we're watching a CVC, Diego. So, what's up?
I guess the tables have turned, huh?
How the tables have turned.
Hey, I have all the knowledge I need of CVZ, okay? They make some Lingbane, and then they make roaches, and then they attack into each other. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much how that's the download, you know? Like, that's how it goes down. That's the copy pastas. But, yeah, I mean, these players are going to be a little bit more nuanced than this, of course. Not in this game, though. It's pretty standard, pretty standard here. Both players are going to be taking their third on the back of 2 links to scout. And yeah, it does not get more normal than this for the time being. Link speed this time around.
Indeed.
Yeah. Go on.
Solar keeping 2 drones on the gas. Likewise, Serral, so they're both not opting to skip the Baneling nest or do anything weird like that. Third base timings are gonna be identical as well.
Absolutely identical. Same millisecond they go down. And links are gonna arrive on each other's side of the map at the same time. Serral made an extra couple of links to defend this. Solar will probably pull his queen. As we have seen, this is the first deviation where they consistently don't do the same thing as a response. So here comes 2 links of Solar a little bit later than Serral produced his. The queen as well, which might tax him a little bit on the next set of injects. Might allow Serral to have a few more links a little bit earlier if he wants to. And creep tumors now dropped with the excess queen energy. Solar will have one more spawning in his main. Baneling nests on either side. And we chilling.
Both players not really committing to their Zergling scouts just yet. I mean, choosing... At what point do you really want to run your Zergling into the other player's main?
I mean, at any point now would be good if you can sneak on through, I would say. But it's like you want to see if there is links coming out. What is coming out from those eggs is the primary thing that you're looking for. So you don't want to get caught by surprise if you can afford to, right? But that's about it. I mean, at this point, it's not like most players are going to be taking too fast. As I say, that Serral does start a very early lair on the back of one single gas. So more likely than not for a Roach timing, I would imagine. Unless we start seeing some extra gases being dropped in the short vicinity of time. Roach Warren does go down. Expect +1 here soon. Solar is going for the Carapace, which will allow for heavier link numbers to participate a little bit earlier. And then potentially transition into Roach upgrades himself, as he also has his Roach Warren on the way.
One more gas being made by Serral. Solar still hasn't gotten any gases in his main, however. But yeah, +1 Carapace on the way. So what do you think about this? Why are still no missile attacks being researched? Oh, there they go. Does this actually affect how many shots a Roach takes to kill another Roach? Like the +1 missile attack?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm not sure exactly, what the exact ratios is, but yeah, +1 attack gives the Roaches +2 attack effectively. Like they pass that threshold, so it's actually a pretty strong upgrade. It's definitely better in the head-to-head as compared to armor. So if it's Roach versus Roach, Serral should have an advantage. If the links are coming a little bit into play, and we see that Solar is doing that, right? If you're going for something like Ravager links, timings, maybe a little bit more Baneling focused or something like that, then the Carapace starts making a little bit more sense for Solar.
Okay, so just doing some quick maths in my head. I mean, I believe it is 1 less shot than for a Roach to kill another Roach with +1 attack, but here we go, actually. Solar positioning himself for a push.
It's a big one.
Serral,
yeah.
kind of in a position, really. Like,
yeah.
Go ahead, Kat.
Yeah, I mean, Serral doesn't have all his units here. He has a lot in production, 10 Roaches. The 3 Banelings is perfect from Serral. Like, splits off 3 Banelings to threaten all of the Morphing Banelings of Solar, which means Solar has to cancel some of those. No transfused energy just available on any of these queens, but the Concave favoring Serral. Reinforcements are very scary from Solar. 22 Zerglings at a time, but 11 more Roaches on the side of Serral. If Serral can retreat and buy himself a little bit more time, he will be golden here as he decides to push on forward. This is the opportunity where Solar maybe could turn things around with fleeing reinforcements, that Serral's going to be the wiser and going to now retreat back to the safety of his Roaches. A hold at the end of the day for Serral is wonderful. He has the lair to work with. He actually cancelled +1 attack during that in order to make 4 additional Roaches, which is really commendable, identifying that surviving is his priority right now. Doesn't need more of an edge in terms of upgrades. And now Solar is trying to transition into this Ravager link composition. Links are actually going to get inside the main of Serral, and that's a little bit scary. So let's see what happens here, Diejo. But yeah, Serral is definitely ahead.
Serral is definitely ahead. Even though he is behind in drone counts right now, I believe you, as he once again restarts his +1. I mean, he is kind of behind in upgrades, though. But is there a reason in particular you would say he's ahead right now?
Well, he had the lair completed, right? So he had the potential to finish that roach speed a lot earlier. He has the potential to go into that, well, in this case, the Spire, but he didn't really do those things much earlier than Solar. So I think he was just content holding and thinking that if he holds, he is ahead. I would go as far as to think that he is. Solar does have those Ravagers, though, which could continue to equalize and do give him map control in the sense that they can go around sniping this Overlord. Serral has to be careful the entire time. So if we look at the vision game, it's actually Solar holding the cards there. And Serral is going to scout the later Spire for Solar now, so he should be pretty happy with his Spire and to keep it this time around. But yeah, I think Serral is, he now has map control. Solar has to respect the earlier layer. He can't really push across the map. And with that, Serral has now attained an economic lead. I would say he's ahead. The supply lies. He's banking for Muta is why the supply lies.
Right, he does have enough for at least 10 mutas by the time they pop out. As actually he does make another batch of roaches, so we'll see. Spire almost finishing though.
Does he have the larva?
He has to be a little bit afraid of this push that's about to come though. Maybe his Overlord saw it, I believe, but at least he has this ramp to contend with. This is a great defender's advantage for him. He can get a great concave above.
Yeah, the Ravagers not yet morphed though. Solar might pounce on that opportunity as the Ravagers are not ready. The Corrosive Balls, Solar really likes stacking them. I wish he would spread them a little bit more to make the positioning just more difficult for Serral, who is struggling to hold here. The Roaches of Serral do go after the last remaining Ravager for Solar before readjusting to try to cover for his own Ravagers. So now the Ravager output from Serral is really good, the damage output, but the numbers are here for Solar, and that is the problem for Serral. He doesn't seem to have enough to hold here. Diego, there is more Roach reinforcements. Those Ravagers are really precious. Serral has to continue to keep them alive as they are dishing out most of the damage, at least relatively, to his Roaches. Solar feints a turnaround, and that might have distracted Serral to where he is not paying attention and not disengaging as quickly as he should. Maybe he should have pulled drones a little bit earlier here. And actually in production, I mean that we have Roaches for Serral, but it's not going to be enough. GG, well played. Solar with the big